Hello and welcome to the Unknown Comics Podcast. You're going to leave that awkward pause at the beginning in, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just to screw with me.
I have to.
I am Brandon.
I'm Chris.
I'm Tanner.
And we are your hosts for this evening. So we're going to do something we're going to change it up a little bit. We have decided that we're going to keep this podcast kind of our comic geekdom fandom podcast, but we are also going to spin off a secondary podcast already. We're only like 2.5 episodes in.
How can we not, though, with the three of us?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Kinda has to happen.
We are going to be doing a gaming podcast as well. So you'll be seeing that as well. I don't know if we'll release it on the same day.
I think we'll do a different day just to spread stuff throughout the week. But
Yep. Yeah, content.
So for tabletop gamers, we will have a separate podcast just for tabletop gaming, in addition to all of our our main podcast, which will be all of our geekdom.
Yep.
we do a hobby segment.
Fandom.
And we'll do a hobby segment, and I'll get on to Brandon for
Not doing my
not
hobby.
doing a hobby.
Well,
Oh, and Brendan actually does hobby. He's not bad at it. So that's the thing. I've seen worse.
I am the beholder. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing, we are going to recap the next to last episode of The Mandalorian. What was the name of this episode?
The Believer.
The Believer.
Yep. Yeah, so The Believer is pretty good. I was happy with it. First time we have no Grogu the entire show.
Yeah.
First episode he has not appeared in the show. So
Oh, wow.
They broke that streak. So interesting to see that, but it was cool to see him kind of gather this little team of people, and then of course the big thing here, towards the end is taking the helmet off and showing how much he's willing to sacrifice himself and what he believes in for the child.
I've seen so many people talk about that, but I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making it out to be. Because if you think about it like this, he was raised in a specific sect of Mandalorian where that's just what he knew.
But he didn't know that
But-
it was a sect.
But now he's meeting all these other Mandos,
Yes.
and he's like, "Oh, well, they're taking their helmets off."
Yeah, and it's funny because Brandon and I, during the show, we were kind of chatting a little bit about it, how, the actor Pedro, apparently there was some kind of thing where he wanted more FaceTime and this and that, and then all of a sudden, oop, hey, look, the helmet came off in that
Yeah.
episode. So
Yeah.
it was just kind of funny how that worked out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's weird to see his face. Like, I know what he looks like.
It's real weird.
It's weird to see him as the character, though.
Yeah.
Like, and just not being this disembodied voice the entire time. So, yeah.
Because his actual face doesn't match the Mando voice.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah, and I think part of that comes with the fact that that you hear that that kind of radio
Coming through the
microphone
helmet,
log
yeah.
and all that kind of
So,
stuff. So
the big scuttlebutt on the internet, though, is if he never takes the mask off, why does he have a perfectly manicured mustache?
well, I mean, I think it's the same reason
It has
they
trimmers in
clean
the helmet.
they clean their armor, right? It's probably just part of self-respect.
There you go.
It's their creed.
Why have one at all?
Yeah.
Why not just shave and put it back on?
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody will legitimize it in canon somehow as to why he.
Speaking of keeping nice and cleaned up, I'm glad Boba had a chance to clean up his armor. He looked a lot better.
Yeah,
He looked way cooler in this episode.
fresh paint job. Still kind of wearing the cloak under it though. He's not back to wearing the under.
But it
clothing.
was really, there was all the memes about the fat Boba.
Yeah,
But you can't hardly, in the new episode, he does not look like that at all once he got their
you
armor
don't really
cleaned up.
actually hardly see him outside of
yeah,
a
it's-
torso
yeah,
shot. You
It's,
don't see
it's
like
pretty
full-
uptight. Yeah,
He's either in the cockpit of the Slave One or kind of in the little lobby part of it. But yeah, so basically the premise of the episode is Mando and crew are going to spring Mayfeld off of a prison planet, who we saw in the Prison Break episode in the last season.
yep,
And because they need somebody who knows Imperial protocol to be able to find the location of Moff Gideon's ship. And he's one of them, he being a former Imperial sharpshooter. And I'll be honest, I didn't really care for his character the first time we saw him.
yeah,
But this time, they wrote him quite a bit better. I think you understand him a lot more.
yeah, and you get to see a little bit of his history, his emotion, why he is.
They
the way
give
he
you
is.
something to kind of sympathize with.
Yeah.
Because those are the best kinds of bad guys, the ones that you can kind of see why they do what they do.
Which, so for those not familiar with the video games and stuff like that, they mentioned in this episode Operation Cinder, which is actually a very big plot line in a lot of the games and some of the books. It's mentioned in Alphabet Squadron. It's mentioned in Star Wars Battlefront 2. So Operation Cinder is basically this contingency plan that should the Emperor die, basically the Empire just starts scorched earthing all of this stuff.
If I don't get it, nobody does.
Exactly. And what that Operation Cinder has done as far as plot lines go is it basically gives Imperial people a reason to
turn,
right? And so you see that in a lot of the games. The main character in Battlefront 2, defector. The main character in Star Wars Squadrons, defector. So and then you see, Mayfeld, Imperial sharpshooter on this planet, which we've seen the planet before. Technically, it was part of a game called Star Wars Uprising. It was a mobile, kind of a Star Wars dungeon crawler game that lasted maybe a year and a half. That's where we see that planet Burnin' Khan that he talked about. And of course, it gets cindered, and that's his turning point or whatever. So, and then of course they meet. I can't remember, Imperial officer guy, just a creepy.
And it was his officer when he served.
Yeah, just a skeezy loyalist Imperial, and then
doesn't care who he kills, who he has to kill. It doesn't matter as long as it's all about the Empire.
And so Mayfeld finally reaches his limit and just shoots him, and they have to fight their way out. And then he does some awesome stuff at the very end.
Yeah, and then of course that end scene where you see the Mando telling Moff Gideon all these things about he means more to me. These are the exact same things that Moff Gideon told him. So it's just kind of rehashing that, bringing that back and be like, no, he means more to me than he does to you.
Yeah, I don't think you understand what you have.
Yeah.
So of course next week, I'm assuming we're gonna get the break. I mean, there's no telling where they could go with it. I mean, they could leave a huge season cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones style. We don't know. But
I think that's more likely than anything.
Just to piss everybody off.
I mean, that's what you do when you run a show. You leave a cliffhanger on the last episode.
Yeah.
So,
which is they know they were going to have this ongoing, so it's not like, oh, we got canceled season 3. We know that's not happening. So
they're not going to pull a Netflix on us.
Yeah, and thankfully they're faster on their season releases than Netflix are. You're like, oh, it's 10 years later. Let's release season 3 of whatever.
Yeah, which I think Stranger Things is happening this summer. No,
see, I don't even keep track of it anymore because
it just
it's so far apart.
Netflix takes too long.
Yeah.
Especially when they're only 8 episodes or something like this. It's not.
I mean, how are these other production companies are cranking out the content?
Yeah.
But then after season 2, they cancel it.
Yeah. And when everybody's watching it, like, why? Why would you do this?
They're mean. Well, speaking of streaming services, moving on to our next topic. So Thursday evening, was it Thursday evening? Yes.
Yeah.
Disney hosted their large, their investor call, which I would assume in normal times this would be an actual gathering where people could call in. But
it's usually in April or March or April, I believe.
Yeah.
So they haven't had one since 2019, and I think it was April then. So they just got kind of COVIDed like everything else all the way until December this year.
Well, and they probably didn't have a plan yet.
Yeah, I mean they kind of had to. What's going on?
Yeah. The kind of the restructuring. So on this investor call, basically they lined out the next
at least 4 years.
Of Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, Pixar, Disney Studios, all of their properties that are under the Disney umbrella, as far as media properties. They didn't really outline things like the park and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mostly Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Mostly Disney Plus.
Which, that's what's making their revenue right now. They're not making it from Disneyland, barely Disney World. And
yeah, we kind of did some just base math based on subscribers.
Yeah.
And what was it, like $6
It was like $8 billion.
$8 billion just from Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include Hulu or ESPN Plus or Solo. I mean, none of that. That's just.
That was only 1 year's worth.
Yeah. And doesn't include any advertisements or anything like that they're getting out of Hulu.
Which, luckily, Disney Plus is still ad-free.
Yeah. And you have an option on, of course, Hulu. And then apparently they're going to have a new version where you can get it all still bundled with an ad-free version of Hulu, which would be nice.
Which kind
That
of
would be
could
nice.
do previously, but it was a weird way to do it. You had to subscribe to both with the same email separately, but then you got a credit
Yeah.
from one, and it was just totally weird and convoluted. And now they're actually bundling it together. But then you also have their live TV package on top of that would still have to be separate. So
Yeah.
we'll have
There's a
to-
lot of packages you can add on to Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hulu has, because it's attached to live TV now.
Yeah.
You can add basically anything like a cable subscription.
Yeah.
So, or a satellite subscription, whatever you use.
So it's no surprise that Disney is pretty much going all in on Disney Plus. It's made them the most revenue, and it
Well, and if movie theaters sadly happen to die, which I still don't think will happen, I mean, that's going to be where it goes.
So were you able to get a count of how many feature length films like that were not specifically earmarked for Disney Plus actually were announced?
That are not going to Disney Plus?
Right.
As far as, I mean, there are, Marvel's still probably the biggest one, and of course Lucasfilms are,
Because Lucasfilm only announced like
they announced 2 Star Wars movies. One was only mentioned that it was in the phase of being written,
right.
and that's by Takiki, I can't ever say his name
Taika
right.
Waititi.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
He is currently writing a Star Wars movie. They did not give any timeline. They did not give anything. All they said is he's writing a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So that's all we know about him. And then, of course, Patty Jenkins is doing the
Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron. So
Yeah.
outside of that, they haven't said any movies. Rogue Squadron is supposed to come out 2023. So, which is kind of weird because they're supposed to do an Avatar film, and then they didn't actually talk about Avatar at all, which I thought was kind of funny.
They didn't really talk about the Fox properties.
A little bit, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really. So, but I know a lot of the stuff they said that's going to be coming from Fox Studios, not Fox Studios. What is it called? 20th Century now.
Yeah.
And Searchlight is going to be going mostly to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting.
So I'm very hyped about the Rogue Squadron movie.
That was such a great series.
Yeah.
As far as the novels.
Yeah, no, great novels, comics. The video game kind of was its own thing, but was still great. I like seeing, I think Star Wars is very strong when it branches out to the kind of the non-Jedi stuff a little bit more. So
I get tired of Jedi politics,
yeah. Which, all that said, they're still coming out with High Republic, which is going to be very much
Yeah.
Jedi based.
Yeah, very much so. It's going to be kind of the height of the Jedi, being the cops of the, galaxy and all that kind of jazz. So it should be pretty
But
interesting.
a lot of the series they announced are going to be away from the Jedi for quite a bit, I believe.
Well, two of them being spin-offs of Mando. So Ahsoka getting her own, which, you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, when they signed Rosario
Yeah.
Dawson, she's not going to just sign up for one episode. And be
No, it doesn't make any sense.
done. And then, was it Rangers of the Republic?
Yeah, Rangers
Yeah.
of the Republic is
Yeah.
the other one for the Mando series.
So that's Cara Dune's spinoff is what they're alluding to there, and then kind of I'm assuming it's them kind of policing the Outer Rim kind of a thing.
And today, of course, the actor that plays Pedro, he also did come out and say today that he does believe that there will be crossovers between the 3 series as well. He believes he'll be in these other ones also. So, which would make total sense if they're going to be in the same timeline.
Yeah, yeah. So then they also so as far as Lucasfilm, they announced another Indiana Jones film
Yep.
because let's get all we can out of Harrison Ford before he dies.
Well, and James Mangold is actually be directing it, so I think that's pretty cool. Of
James
course,
Mangold is
Logan.
oh, okay.
Yep. They said a different movie for him during the presentation, but I was like, Logan.
Yeah. Which
That's
be,
what we care
it's going to
about.
be weird that it's not Spielberg because
Yeah.
that would be the only one that he hasn't directed.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be involved in some which way, but
Yeah.
so that it will be different. And then Willow.
Yes,
with
a
all- with all
television
the Will-
series
yeah,
based
it'll
on
be-
Willow.
and it will still be same actor reprising his role. It'll be, of course, a few decades after the original movie and all that kind of stuff. So, let's see. As far as they did announce another movie project as well, but as far as Star Wars stuff goes, we talked about the movies already. So we can talk about Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan, Andor, and was it Lando?
Yeah.
So these are all going to be probably similar timeline as well, I would think.
I think Lando is going to be prequel because I think they were going to try to get Donald Glover.
Yeah,
Back
well,
as-
I
as
mean,
young.
same. Those three will be in the similar timelines.
Oh, I see. what
Not
you're
as Mando, but to themselves. So
Yeah.
that 10 years after or a little
Pre
bit
A New
later.
Hope.
Yeah. So
I am hands down most excited for Kenobi.
Kenobi is going to be awesome.
Which they did announce Hayden Christensen will be back as Darth Vader.
Yes. So my thing with that is, is he gonna do the voice, or are they gonna have somebody else do the voice?
No, they got to do it like they did the other movies. He'll be in the suit, and they'll get a voice actor for the voice. That's,
They've found some pretty good sound alikes for James Earl Jones because even when he did what was the last time he did the sound alike? It was Rogue One.
yeah.
at the very end, right? Yeah.
You could tell his voice just isn't what it was. Like his timbre wasn't the same, because his voice is aging.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't bank on a series on a 80-year-old actor or however old James Earl Jones is now. So I don't think Hayden Christensen can pull off the voice, not without a lot of modulation or editing. I guess you could auto-tune Vader.
So Andor is going to be. We did find out just in there. It's going to be 12 episodes. I'm not sure if it's going to have more than one season. Obi-Wan's going to be 10 years, of course, after Anakin becomes Darth Vader. Production starts on that in March, so that's pretty nice. So we kind of know it's going to be coming pretty soon. So probably see that early 2022 would be my guess.
Yeah.
There's a statue that I've seen of Obi-Wan, and he's like, it looks like he's going through a sandstorm and trying to block the wind out of his face, but you can see in his bag he's still got part of his clone trooper armor and stuff, and
that would be
that's the Obi-Wan I want to see in the series.
I think we all really, ever since the character came in, he's such a big part of all the movies, and you only had him for like 30 minutes,
and
until the cartoons and stuff came out.
And a lot of the lore, he's hands down the best lightsaber Jedi there is. And he's actually super powerful, which you don't get that impression when you very first meet him in A New Hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an old man at that point.
But even at that point, he is way powerful in the Force. He just let himself lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knew what was going on. He knew where he was going. So, he knew exactly what was about to happen.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see if they get Liam Neeson pegged down to be a ghost cameo.
No, I mean, that'd be interesting. I mean, it's the way they're treating all this stuff. It's not like
they alluded that Qui-Gon knew how to become a Force ghost at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So,
I mean, if you go through in the cartoons, they bring him in through that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I mean, they for sure know that. He's basically the one that taught everybody else how to do it. So and then of course Lando is in the writing phase. We don't have any. I know that it sounds like they do want to bring Glover back, but I mean, we don't really know much else other than that. I still was hoping to hear, hopefully, maybe something on Han Solo as well, but of course, they're not getting that right now.
They may be just gauging to see how well Lando does to kind of bring that.
I thought that movie was a lot better than what people gave
said.
credit for it.
I thought so too.
I think the pre-production stuff and the fact that people were just hating on.
I think it
Lucasfilms
got a bad
and
rap
Star
because
Wars.
it came out so close to what was the middle one, The Last Jedi.
The second, the last,
because that one got really bad reviews too, and Solo came out real close to that.
Yeah,
one.
well, and like he was saying, Solo kind of had a directorial change,
almost an actor change. They didn't actually change him, but a lot of people didn't like him as Han Solo. There was a lot of people that were, before he even gave him a chance, they wanted him recasted.
Yeah.
So it's just, I thought the movie was great. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
So that was Lucasfilm and all the. Oh no,
they still have a few more. So we got Star Wars Bad Batch.
Yep.
The new cartoon that's coming off of the Rebel. This is Clone Wars. Coming off Clone
It's
Wars.
Essentially a new Clone Wars season.
Yeah, which is it's pretty cool. I think if you're a fan of the cartoons and you've watched all the cartoons, I think it's pretty cool to see that they're coming back to some of these characters, and we're going to get to see them use that universe, that medium a little bit more.
Well, that's my favorite part of that era of Star Wars history is the characters of the clones and getting to see them, because they're clones, but they're still people, and they're having to deal with all the stuff of going from the Republic to the Empire, and half of them don't really know or agree with why Order 66 even happened, and they're just...
And with these guys being the Bad Batch, I was telling somebody today, I think that they probably didn't have any... They probably weren't part of Order 66. But I also think that we're probably going to see them starting out fighting for this new empire and then probably turn. I think that's what we're going to see there.
And hopefully in this series you finally actually get to see why the clones were phased out in favor of the Stormtrooper program.
Yeah.
Which is
basically the same thing Jedis did, right?
Yeah.
Go and snatch babies and turn them into... So, whatever.
But, well, I think in the Empire, the Stormtrooper was volunteer. It was the First Order that
snatched him up.
Snatched him. Yeah.
Yeah, the Empire was volunteer.
Yeah. So,
voluntold.
Depends on what planet you're from, I guess.
Yeah. And then we have, of course, they have the new Star Wars Visions. This is going to be 10 episodes long. This is 10 different stories by different anime creators.
Okay.
So that's what this is going to be. Of course, that's going to Disney Plus. A droid story, which will introduce us to a new character. Could be a droid, most likely will be. It'll be an R2D2 C3PO kind of thing.
Okay.
Let's see, and then of course the Acolyte.
Oh, this is going to be High Republic, right?
Yeah, this is going to be at the very end of the High Republic timeline. Kind of a darker side from what I'm kind of getting. Yeah. So it'd be kind of interesting. Maybe they'll actually will explore a little bit more of some of the darker characters, which would be pretty cool because they really haven't done that.
So how far back are they saying High Republic takes? Is
High
it supposed
Republic's
to be like before Bane and all of that stuff?
No. So you have the Old Republic, which is going to be Bane and all that kind of stuff. So High Republic is going to be 200 years before basically what we see in Episode 1.
Okay, so it's kind of between the Old Republic and the movies.
Yes.
The prequel movies.
Yeah. Because the prequels are basically what they call the New Republic is what we see eventually.
Yeah, they call it the Age of Republic.
Yeah,
there's the Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, and Age of Resistance.
Age of Sigmar.
So
no,
we just jumped. John, that's like one of those memes where it's like Star Trek and Star Wars and all in the same thing. So one of the other things we have here, just quickly hit up FX. As you know, of course, they are on Disney Plus as well, and Hulu. Hulu's a big place. The thing that I thought was interesting, they are doing a Shogun series, which is going to be pretty cool, I think. But the big thing that I saw was the new Aliens TV series. It'll be the first time they're actually going to have the aliens based. It's going to be here on Earth. The series is going to be going through that. They are still going to be working with Ridley Scott on it, but he will not be directing the series.
So their FX properties, are they going to release those on Disney Plus or Hulu?
In other countries, yes.
Because I have a hard time wrapping my brain around watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on Disney.
On Disney Plus.
So I think eventually the plan is to bring all the content, which is what they're doing in other countries, into Disney Plus. They like all the Marvel, Fox X-Men movies, all those things got released in other countries on there before we got them. Yeah. And I think they were just testing like, okay.
Yeah, but they still haven't put,
is America going to freak out if we put these on here? Because it's Disney. You know what I mean?
They still haven't put Logan on there yet, though.
They did. That's one of the things they're announcing. All the Marvel movies, all the properties will be on Disney Plus starting at the beginning of the year.
That's
even Logan, which is rated R. But their big talking about is the fact that their security measures are
child protocols in the app.
Basically, as soon as the rated R content comes in, as soon as you get on there, you're going to have the ability to say, I mean, there's going to be like all these warnings, like, we want to make sure you're okay with this content. You have to agree to this kind of a thing before you'll be able to watch that extra content. So they want to make sure your kids don't just hop on there and be like, oh, let's go watch this.
It's no different than what Netflix is doing, really.
I mean, you can get around it pretty quickly in Netflix.
Yeah.
And then there's... I can't remember that Amazon has nothing. There's some of these places that you just hop on and go. HBO Max. I mean, I know they have something on there, but I mean, you kids can just start
HBO,
watching.
Though, so.
Well, but HBO Max has all the Warner Brothers. I mean, it has everything on there.
Yeah.
So you have all the kids' movies. So you're like, hey, I want to go watch Scoob. Okay, cool. You can go watch Scoob, but then make sure you're not over there watching the first episode of Game of Thrones right afterwards.
The Joker.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So that's kind of it for those things. We'll kind of just hit up a couple of these. So Disney Television, just for me, Mighty Ducks series sounds pretty cool. I mean, they are bringing back some of the people. Beauty and the Beast is a prequel. Will still star Luke Evans and Josh Gad,
Okay.
which is interesting.
Luke
Swiss
Evans
Family,
was the best part of that movie.
so we'll see kind of how they are. Swiss Family Robinson's live action coming to Disney Plus. Of course, Percy Jackson and the Olympians live action coming to Disney Plus. These are TV series.
Okay.
And then Mysterious Benedict Society. I haven't heard of this, but apparently it's a pretty big younger
Young adult
book
novel
series.
series.
Okay, so Disney itself, Disney movies. So Jungle Cruise, of course, this is coming to theaters this next year. The stars The Rock and
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Yep. Sorry, I dropped my pen. Has loud noises. Lion King will be a prequel, not a sequel.
Is it going to be another faux live action?
Yeah.
Or
A CGI live action. Yes.
yeah.
Little Mermaid will still be a musical for you Mulan haters. Pinocchio will be Disney Plus. Pan and Wendy will be Disney Plus. Those are also live action. Sister Act 3, which I thought was interesting. I was like, wait, what? So Whoopi will be back.
They are just...
That'll be also Disney Plus.
They're just opening up the Disney vault and just going, here you go.
Yeah. And then, of course, Cruella, which we've known about for a while, but I'm excited about that.
That's Emma Stone, right?
I'm an Emma Stone fan,
Yeah.
so it's great to see her come. It's going to be like a 1970s. It's a prequel as well. London, punk rock.
That's cool.
And so it'll be kind of her kind of getting pulled out of the designer pool and showing why she becomes this, crazy, angry, mean lady. Disney animation, of course, Raya, the new Raya and the Last Dragon, Baymax, which from what I gathered on that, it's going to be a continuation of the show, but it'll be more about Baymax just kind of going around and helping people more than it will be the rest of the characters that we saw in the movie.
So a continuation of the TV series they did?
No, they said they may have been, but most of it from what I saw was just
Yeah.
in general continuation of what's already happened. Zootopia Plus, Tiana and Moana will both have their own TV shows on Disney Plus. I guess instead of just doing movie sequels, they feel like that's the better idea to go there.
Yeah.
And then Pixar, we have Soul, which we've already all seen that. That's coming out Christmas Day.
Yep.
Luca and Turning Red. I didn't get too much on those. They just give a little bit of stuff. And then, of course, the big thing, what we all want to talk about, Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
So I was writing notes down, going through this whole thing, and it was very easy to fill up a whole little page full of notes on this. So they have definitely more stuff coming out than and if you guys are wondering, yes, I did skip the National Geographic section. I'm sorry.
Nobody really cares. Sorry.
I even skipped it on the presentation. Although some of it did look cool. They had Chris Hemsworth doing a show and Will Smith doing a show and some of the stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll go back and watch it. I don't know.
Right. Not for context of this podcast.
Yeah, not for this. So, of course, the very first thing we get from Marvel Studios coming next month, WandaVision.
Right.
So that's really going to be really cool, I think. We're seeing maybe the Vision's actually going to somehow come back into the MCU. We know that Wanda can, she's basically one of the most powerful beings that there is.
Right.
They haven't really explored that too much in the MCU, but even Kevin Feige has acknowledged that. So we'll just kind of have to see how that's going to go.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's hard to tell if it's, that what she's in is a reality she's created or she's been captured and stuck in something, because this latest teaser trailer they came out with, like the other characters are alluding to they're trapped in something. And
and we're going to see the younger girl that was in Captain Marvel. She's all grown up.
Monica Rambeau?
Yeah, she's all grown up. She'll be in WandaVision. She'll be a part of that. So we're going to start seeing her grown-up character being there.
And she'll also be in the new Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, new Captain Marvel. So that's going to be kind of cool to see that. I think WandaVision's going to be... of course, it's Marvel, so they are going to be as vague can be about letting us know what they're doing. But it is really, really awesome to see how they keep everything connected.
Yeah.
They do such a great job with making sure the stories work together. And of course, right now they already are filming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That comes out in 2022, I believe.
Maybe.
So, and then of course, all these characters will also be involved. For sure, Doctor Strange will be in Spider-Man, which is at the end of next year.
Home something.
Yeah.
Something from home. home.
They were, of course, with Sony still owning the rights to that, they gave Spider-Man about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And said his name. That was it.
Well, the illusion now is that they're gonna lay into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I want that so bad. What I really want, you guys watched New Girl?
The TV series New Girl?
TV series, yeah.
I've seen an episode or two, but no, I haven't really watched it.
So the guy that plays Nick Miller is the voice of Hobo Spider-Man in the animated
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the
Okay,
Spider-Verse.
yeah.
So I want to see him brought into the real life.
Or they bring him in animated. I heard somebody say that they would
That'd be cool
actually
too, yeah.
blend live
Somehow
action
do
and
that.
animated too.
Well, and so I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy with what they do with Spider-Man. I mean, we already seen Jonas return. We know we have confirmed Doc Ock coming back. We know we have confirmed Electro coming back. We know we have confirmed, of course.
But then, from what I understand, the actual Spider-Man actors are all they won't talk about.
They haven't confirmed it, but there's rumors that
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire
Andrew Garfield seems to be more locked in currently than Toby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. you know?
Why would you not
Yeah.
make the coolest movie ever?
Yeah. So I mean, it would have to be. I think those guys were treated really well. We know Garfield wanted to keep doing it.
Yeah.
We know Maguire was set to make a whole other movie, and it just got canned.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like they don't still at one point had a passion for it. So I'm sure they don't want to just leave that on the table, right? Of course, March, Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming. We saw our first trailer for that.
Yep.
It looks pretty cool. They showed a little bit of U.S. Agent in there, kind of showed somebody else with a shield. They didn't actually show Falcon with it at all throughout the little trailer.
Right.
We see Baron Zemo a little bit. So it's
Did
gonna be
we?
pretty, yeah,
Okay.
just a little bit. They kind of, I think he's like throwing something out of his hand or something like that. But it's just a little bit. He wasn't in costume or anything, but I think from what I understand, he is supposed to have some more comic accurate costume in the show.
Some kind of purple mask.
Yeah. So that's 6 episodes. So kind of short lived. Maybe there'll be longer episodes.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think they plan on doing multiple seasons with any of these kind of things. I think these are all one-offs
Yeah.
that are just going to feed
For a lot of
into-
that, I think that's okay, or else we get to the point where we're just being overwhelmed with
Yeah.
content.
I think some of the newer stuff, which we'll get to in a second, may have multiple seasons. But I think the stuff that's directly tied to these main characters that have already been in the movies, I don't see them having multiple seasons unless they somehow pass that mantle along to a young Avenger or somebody else
Right.
that'll keep doing those seasons. Of course, Black Widow, May 7th in theaters.
Sure.
They did not say anything about launching on Disney Plus at all with that one.
Yeah.
Whereas like Raya and some of these other ones, they are doing simultaneous releases. Loki, May as well.
Right.
I was kind of surprised it's going to be
introducing
so
the
early in the
introducing
year.
the TVA and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, yeah,
And then if you caught it in the teaser trailer for like a split second, you saw Black Widow.
yeah. I didn't see that,
Yep. You see her like the back. She's sitting down and you can see her from behind.
and and honestly, I don't know much about the TVA or any of this, so I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go do some research because I still
Yeah.
haven't done that. So
It was. I don't know that it's ever been a big thing in the
I'm gonna
Marvel
get my
universe.
Google out and
But yeah. But
So-
they definitely they grabbed a small reference to blow up into something bigger.
What If. So this actually looks pretty cool. I think.
I think so.
Basically, they're taking, of course, what Stan Lee and all these guys have done over the years in the Marvel Comics, giving us the question, what if? What
Yep.
if this person did this? And then how would that change or affect everything else? So the big one, of course, like Peggy Carter being Captain America, T'Challa becoming Star-Lord. So, I mean, just some different stuff that you see in there that I think is going to be pretty
Which
cool.
What If has been a Marvel tradition for years and
Yeah.
in different kind of levels. In the 70s and stuff, it was an ongoing.
Yeah. So for the animated shorts, whatever they're going to be, it's going to be What If, and it's all going to be based on what ifs for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
It won't involve comic books or anything like that. So it'll still pertain to the people that are only watching the movies and series and stuff
Teasing
like that.
Marvel Zombies a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that was kind of cool. Let's see here. Shang-Chi has just finished filming. That's July 9th, 2021.
Okay.
We'll get the real Mandalorian. He'll stand up, right?
Mandarin.
Mandarin. No, I said Mandalorian. 'Cause,
Yeah, I read
I'm still
Shang-
on that. So
I read Shang-Chi #1 this
Yeah.
weekend. It was pretty good.
yeah, when they bring in his sister, of course, that's the first appearance of his sister and all that kind of stuff. It actually was a pretty good little comic, so I like that as well. It'll be interesting to see. I think that they are introducing some of these characters because they're going to start trying to bring them into the MCU.
That's one of my favorite part
yeah.
about
Easy.
There's a lot of characters that go through. Wolverine and Psylocke has a little bit of connection, and there's their own equivalents in the DC universe. But anytime they get into these martial arts secret society kind of things, I think that
The Hand.
I like
the
the
hand,
Yeah.
all that stuff is way cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, and what's good is it's kind of fleshing out the 10 rings, which has been in the MCU from movie number 1.
Yeah,
Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
That was the terrorist organization that kidnapped Tony.
Yeah, and they've been, so many people were mad about it in Iron Man 3, and they're like, no, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a plan.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while.
That the Mandarin exists, but that wasn't him.
Yeah, and of course they really retconned that with like a short film that you can't get anywhere. Yeah. So
How do you retcon something if you don't distribute the retcon?
yeah, well they did, but you had to like get this certain whatever to get it. I'm sure you could probably find it somewhere online now. But,
Yeah.
Okay, so Shang-Chi, Miss Marvel. Of course, this will be a Disney Plus TV series. They did online castings, which I think is kind of cool that that's how they casted their character, was online, like basically like video chats and stuff like that.
And they announced she would be in Captain Marvel 2
She'll be
as
in
well.
Captain Marvel 2. She'll be co-starring, so it'll actually be. It won't just be like a little thing. It'll be. Yeah. She'll be a big. Her icon is Captain Marvel, and
according to the MCU, she'll be the only Ms. Marvel.
She'll be because.
So we're finally
Carol was never Ms.
She
Marvel
was
in the
never
MCU.
Miss Marvel. Yeah,
We're getting our first official MCU sidekick.
I think so. I think that's I don't know. I mean, you could still count. I don't know. They never made Bucky a sidekick. They made him a best friend.
No,
Falcon
a little
kind
bit.
of. I think he would be considered that.
Yeah.
Of course, what's her name will be in this as well.
Monica Rambeau.
But yeah, I don't know why I can never remember the name. She'll be in here as well. I'm kind of wondering if she'll somehow have some kind of a Captain Marvel thing happen as well.
Because she was Captain
She has
Marvel
been
for
Captain
a time.
Marvel.
Yep.
And then of course Eternals. Eternals is coming 11/5/2021, so that's next year. And they said absolutely zilch about it. So again, Marvel's plan of being as vague as vague. Great cast though. It's gonna be really cool to see what happens with that.
Very big cast.
Hawkeye. This actually is planning on coming out this year. They're filming it right now.
There's already been set leaks of Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop, yeah.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yep, Haley. She was, of course, the movie I remember in most, I guess, was Bumblebee, right, with Transformers.
Well, I remember from True Grit.
True Grit as well. Yeah. So I think they picked a great actress for that.
Yeah.
She-Hulk. All the rumors and junk and everything about her. This, that. Yeah, she's She-Hulk.
I wonder if it leaked too early, and so she just decided to kind of play it down to see if they could throw people off the trail because Mark Ruffalo just went. Bleh.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
So of course we're getting Abomination back. Hulk will be in the series. I'm wondering if we're going to find any other
leader or anything like that because they teased leader in the Hulk movie.
And then of course they also did tease the fact that she is a lawyer that specifies in doing cases with people that have powers. So we may see other cameos and stuff in her TV show as well.
Right.
So that would be pretty interesting. I'm thinking
Like
maybe
anybody
Defenders,
with powers, or you think maybe
well,
they might
mostly superhero stuff.
Well,
but
you think
could
they
be
might
anybody.
start tying in mutants?
See, and they've got to do it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the very, very, very end of this presentation, they showed a little, First Family Fantastic Four, but they still have not publicly said anything about the mutants.
Yeah.
So somewhere it's got to start kind of funneling in there, So
do you think then, being Marvel's game plan of everything kind of has its own little subgenre, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think She-Hulk is that more procedural legal drama? But Daredevil kind of skirted that line a little bit.
Well, we know he's
lot.
coming back, so we just don't know if it's going to be series based or if it's going to be he's in the movies and whatever.
Yeah, so She-Hulk, like the Law and Order of the MCU, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it,
Doom.
and is she going to be green the entire time?
Yeah, and
like Jennifer Walters would be.
Yeah, he kind of said that a little bit, where she's trying to, figure out how to keep doing this when she's, almost 8 foot tall and green. So
Right.
so it may be that she's not back and forth Jennifer Walters, that she is stuck in that mode.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what we saw from Smart Hulk or, Professor Hulk, whatever you want to call him in
Right.
the last movie. So Moon Knight, again, very, very vague on this. Then these are the ones like She-Hulk, Moon Knight. These are the ones I see having multiple seasons.
He alluded. I watched that bit of it. Feige alluded to Moon Knight is going to be very, very steeped in like the Egyptian kind of iconography and mythos and stuff like that. So you're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, and I think you'll see crossovers here into She-Hulk. We may see Defenders here. I don't think, again, it's all connected. He didn't make it sound like this is going to be a Blade thing, which really they haven't even said Blade wouldn't be connected.
Right.
So I think that we'll still see. I mean, they just put Blade's been an Avenger for like the last year in the comic book, so
Yeah.
it's very possible they're still going to try to work him in some way.
Well, he was a Dark Avenger for forever.
Yeah, and he's just a straight up Avenger right now. So I mean, it's been kind of crazy. So Moon Knight, again, they didn't allude to too much, but they did talk about this, and so it'd be kind of it's a really exciting one. I want to see who they're going to cast as that. I think that's going to be
Mark Spector. Yeah.
The big deal for that one. Secret Invasion. I think this one kind of took everybody by surprise. I think some people knew it was going to happen, but they thought maybe it was going to happen in Captain Marvel 2.
Right.
So seeing it come as just its own little TV thing on Disney Plus is going to be pretty interesting.
With Samuel L. Jackson and Talos actor.
Yeah.
Mark, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
From
that guy.
Guy from Rogue One. Sorry.
Yeah. So it'd be pretty cool to see. We're bringing back Nick Fury, bringing back Talos. We're doing some storyline with these guys, and it was a huge storyline as far as comic books goes.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see that they're just kind of.
And I think a lot of people crapped on Marvel because Skrulls were good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to find out that these Skrulls were maybe not all of them.
Not all of them. Yeah, they made you feel kind of guilty because of all the Kree and what they did to them, but
Kree kind of own it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's true.
They're horrible anyway.
Yeah. All right, so after that we go to the next two series, which again this first one, Ironheart, I feel like it's possible it could have multiple seasons as well.
Yeah.
With Riri bringing, of course, she has if you know her in the comic books, she was reversed engineered to one of Tony Stark's suits. She's a genius. She's a teenager.
This is when Tony was AI, right?
Yeah. Basically, Marvel wanted to. This is a Bendis. I don't know if she specifically is Bendis, but this is part of the whole Bendis create. New people, bring in diversity, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they killed off a lot of their main characters. Really, really bombed for Marvel in the long run. They could have just created new characters and not worried about killing off the old ones.
Yeah.
But she is going to be, I think it'd be really cool to see her in the movies and the TV shows. She will, of course, eventually get into both. And then Armor Wars, which is going to bring back Don Cheadle as War Machine.
Yep.
Riri, of course, most likely appear in this as well. It's funny, they said this is Tony's worst nightmare lived. Somebody gets his technology, and they were like, wait, what about Iron Man 1, 2, 3, Spider-Man,
yeah, exactly.
the Avengers? I thought every one of these was about that. So
it happens all the time. I wonder if they bring in Arno during this. Arno Stark, his half brother or cousin or whatever. That
we may. I don't. We won't see Pepper.
Yeah.
She's already said she's done with the role, kind of like Tony has. It's like
RDJ.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. has. The thing I think we'll probably see is will we see his daughter growing up in this?
Right.
And maybe even the kid, because we saw him at the funeral. The kid from Iron Man 3.
Harley.
Will we see him in this? I think those two have to have a place somewhere in the movies as well, and or TV shows, whichever one you want to go. But those are characters that we've already seen, so it'd be kind of hard just to be like, oh, kick him to the side.
Yeah.
Especially because if you weren't going to show the kid again, why'd you have him at the funeral?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to be at that.
Right.
Well, so the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely one of those places where every little detail matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's an Easter egg.
They don't throw something in the movies for no reason.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that kid gets War Machine mantle at some point. I have no idea, but I think we'll definitely see some more of those people in there as well. And then, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. We all know that Gunn's coming back to direct 3, but he's also going to be directing a live-action Christmas special. I thought this was funny. They said they wanted to do this for a while, but they didn't have a platform
I
to
wonder if
release
it's
it
going
on.
to be as bad as the Star Wars holiday special.
It sounds
I hope
awesome.
It is.
I don't know if Gunn's doing it. I'm watching it. So
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing the whole cast in. So it's going to be pretty cool. They're going to be filming it at the exact same time. It's supposed to release. Guardians of the Galaxy is supposed to be, I think, 2022, 2023. So this will release Christmas of 2022, most likely, if everything stays on slate as is.
Because he's almost done with Suicide Squad, right?
Yes, as far as I know, that's I think that's wrapped production.
probably
They're just post. I Am Groot shorts, so I think these are still supposed to be with the Groot that we see in the movies, but it will be him like interacting with other weird creatures in the MCU.
So there, back during Marvel Now, there was a Rocket Raccoon had his own series.
Yeah.
There was one issue that was told from the point of view of Groot.
Was it I Am Groot the whole thing?
The whole entire book was I Am Groot,
That'd be so
and
frustrating.
you just have to figure out what's going on by
context.
the
Yeah.
context. It was awesome.
You're like, ooh, man book pictures. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Of course, Thor: Love and Thunder has already started shooting. That's bringing, of course, Chris Hemsworth back. We're going to have Jane Foster. We're going to have, from what it reports, Sif is going to be back. Lady Sif.
And they announced who Christian Bale is playing.
Yes, which I think we kind of all knew, but really cool to see. It's interesting that he is not going to have any face. Well, I don't know. They could redesign the character to give him face. But if they leave him as is, then you probably won't even know that that's him.
Well,
Right.
that's kind of what it's been like with most of the villains.
Yeah.
They'll announce some crazy big name, and you can't tell who it is once they get all their makeup and their costume on.
Well, I mean, with Brolin, I think you could still.
Brolin
but
probably the
with,
exception,
with the way
but
this guy is. I mean, you're not going to have a clue.
Yeah, Gore kind of looks very Voldemort-ish.
Yeah. So, like I said, they could do some character redesign, but I don't know. They've been pretty true to the comics for the most part, as far as trying to do most of their designs. So I think they'll stay that way.
So Jason Aaron getting a lot of love in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I think as far as Thor goes, I mean, nobody's done more for that character in a long time than he has. So I know that. Again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Donny Cates has a lot of big plans for him, making him Thor the All-Father and all these different things. But I mean, what Jason Aaron did with Thor for I think a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to beat what he's done.
Yep.
Of course, Blade. Not much was talked about that, but we know it's still happening. Of course, the new Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Quantum Realm, I believe is what it's called. All the characters are reprising their roles. And then we have a new daughter actress.
Oh, Cassie. Yeah.
She's been recasted, which makes sense because she needs to be older now.
Well, she was older in
I think
Endgame.
she's even older.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and I think they recast her just because I think they wanted maybe somebody different just for that role.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, acting body proportions. I don't know.
Right.
They wanted somebody to be a little bit taller, a little bit shorter, or something. I'm not really sure what it was, but
she's stature. She can be whatever height she
yeah,
wants.
that is true. Yeah. Let's see, and then of course they did a nice little moment for Chadwick Boseman again at the end. They said T'Challa will not be recast. Of course, we will still I'm sure have some version of a Black Panther.
Yeah.
As they're going to explore more of the Wakandan universe.
That makes me wonder, because as the MCU gains popularity and does things with characters, the comic universe tends to kind of recalibrate itself, right?
Well, and
I wonder what happens to Black Panther in the print.
Well, I mean, he's about to become the Phoenix,
right?
So I don't know if they're going to do too much with him in the comic books.
It's also hard to predict because the movie universe is this weird blend of 616 and Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
It doesn't strictly follow one world or the other.
Well, I mean, when they straight up asked Samuel L. Jackson, "Hey, we're going to put you in a comic book because we want to eventually use you in a movie," and that was Ultimate Universe. I mean, right away when you saw Nick Jackson in the Ultimate Universe, you knew that was Samuel L. Jackson or Nick Fury.
I want to see a Nick Fury multiverse movie and bring back the Hoff.
I don't.
No.
Somehow he's gonna bring his SpongeBob days into that as well. Squeeze his chest and shoot SpongeBob. I mean, it's gonna be really weird. And
technically, the Hoff's already been in the MCU.
He played Nick Fury.
No, he was in Guardians.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was the dad he wanted.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
That's sang a song and everything.
Yeah, he sure did. So yeah, leave it to Gunn to make sure that happens.
Yep.
So that's kind of the highlights from everything I saw. So I mean, in the next couple of years, I mean, and again, they didn't even talk about some of the Fox Studio stuff. I mean, the 20th Century stuff. They didn't talk about Avatar. They didn't talk about the Predator.
They might just not have a ton of that stuff laid down enough to relay any information.
And that may be it.
Because I mean, the finalization of that purchase was still fairly recent.
Well, I mean, with Avatar, we know we already have 2 done.
I mean, we've already waited.
2 and 3, I think, are filmed. I think he did those simultaneously.
I guess I need to watch the first one eventually.
Yeah. I've never watched it.
It's good, and somebody that actually watched it in 3D in theaters. And this again, it's going back to like where it was, and I mean, it's just 3D. I still feel like has not been as good as it was for that one movie.
Right.
That came out when I was in like middle school, and I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender on Nickelodeon. I'm like, this is not the same thing.
I guess
this is not cool.
They're redoing something with that too. I guess they're about to continue that with a different story. So
I think that's going to be a Netflix thing.
Yeah. All right. So, there we go. There's your down run of everything we saw Disney related.
So yeah, definitely Disney leaning into Disney Plus. That's basically keeping that company afloat right now, because in every other aspect, I mean, Disney as a media conglomerate has their hands in a lot of stuff. I mean, the problem is ESPN had no sports for quite a few months.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of their big money makers.
Yeah, when they first started showing sports again, I'm like, is this real?
Yeah.
Is this real?
Yeah, piped in crowd audio and all that other stuff.
Yeah. I had to sit there and watch people toss beanbags across the room.
I wonder how many people were betting on rerun football games.
I'm sure they tried, because that's just as much of a deal as you got some people that are actually really addicted to that. So the fact that they just couldn't do it, I mean, that's
oh, they'd find new stuff to bet on.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
but just seeing Disney kind of lay it out that Disney Plus is going to be that flagship going forward. It makes sense. Time will tell if that bet pays off.
Biggest thing you're excited about as far as all the announcements?
Biggest thing I'm excited about, Rogue Squadron. I'm really excited about. On the Marvel side, yeesh. We missed something on the Marvel side.
What's that?
Fantastic Four.
Well, we hit it a little bit, but yeah, I was going to come back to it again.
Yeah.
The same director that's been doing the last couple Spider-Man movies will be directing Fantastic Four.
So no word on casting, but
yeah, absolutely. Again, zilch.
Yeah. So that, and was kind of hoping maybe we'd get a glimpse of their mutant plan.
Yeah.
Does that mean the mutant plan is still another
and
4 years out?
A lot of people, that's what they said, is that they felt like Marvel was going to say, well, I think we can bring the family in. That's easy.
Yeah.
But the mutants, that they might have just kind of shelved them for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think shelving is the right word. I think it's more going to be small stuff. Yeah.
Well, and I think out of the mutant universe, they have a couple good picks as far as franchise villains that they could build up to. There's only so many Thanos level villains you can have to build the phase towards. And I think there's some likely candidates out of
Ant-Man and Wasp are building a big one.
Yeah,
Kang.
With Kang, and I think we all think the Kang is for sure probably going to be the next, worldwide level event. Yeah, with everybody, and I think
and that sets up the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
pretty well.
I think we're going to see those characters way before we see a Fantastic Four movie. I think.
Oh, we see the Fantastic Four in something before we see the movie.
So.
Yeah,
in some way, shape, or form, we're going to see them. Something.
Yeah, and I mean, Black Panther. I mean, all the ways they kind of do a backdoor pilot for these characters. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they roll mutants in, and yeah, maybe they do wait 4 years to really.
And I don't think that means they're not going to use the characters. I just think it means that we're not going to see them in a feature length movie of their own right away.
Yep. All right. Well, we are just under an hour. We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
And I think the audio's good.
Yeah. Hopefully not destroyed.
Knock on wood.
This might actually be episode 2 and not episode 1.75.
Oh my gosh. Let's not. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Chris, how can they connect with us?
Yeah, so if you want to find any of our amazing exclusive comic books, you can check us out at unknowncomicbooks.com. We have a wide range of exclusive comics. If you're listening in the current timeline, we're actually doing buy 3, get 3 right now on our website. So if you're listening to this and it's December 2020, go get you some comic books. You can find us on social media at Unknown Comic Books on Instagram and Facebook. Twitter, you can find us at unknown_comics. Of course, you can find us on YouTube, Unknown Comics, and then anywhere you want to listen to the podcast, so Spotify, iTunes Podcast, and Amazon on Audible.
All right. And be on the lookout for our new gaming podcast that we are going to probably be recording as soon as we hit stop on this one.
Yep.
So thank you guys. Have a great week.